Hello, everyone. I know I'm like a minute early. I'm realizing how really bad this looks with the light. This was the one thing that I was concerned about was shooting this time of night. The light's going to be really bad. And I should have pulled out the ring light and I didn't. It's like over there in the corner. I should have dug it out, but we're just going to have to survive. From now on, I'm not going to do anything this late at night because even though it's only 6 o'clock, I am so used to going to bed early that 6 o'clock for me is like midnight for other people. So I'm pretty tired. But anyway, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me. I have not been on for, I think it's 2 weeks now. I'm still suffering. I'm still coughing a lot. There might be a fair amount of coughing during this episode. In the meantime, big news. If you look behind me, you will see my little wall with all the new stuff. And I'll try not to make you guys seasick. There is the new setup for the Vintage Singer. I took time this weekend, because I have off this week for the teachers convention. So I'm off Monday through Friday plus the 2 weekends. So Sunday I moved. Sorry, guys. Sunday, with the help of my friends, very lovely sons, I moved the Singer filing cabinets, the McCall's in the hallway, and every box of patterns that we could move into a storage unit. And I've been going over every day, unpacking the boxes and putting all the patterns away. Anyway, in the meantime, what I've been doing is I have been working on vintage patterns. So I have a fair amount of vintage patterns here that I worked on. I didn't get a lot done because I was really sick. I was really struggling. I was on a Z-Pack, and then I also had a steroid. I am feeling a little better, but still coughing. And then I have some patterns I picked up at Goodwill last week and some patterns I picked up at Goodwill today. So we'll talk about those. But let's start with the vintage patterns. And I hope there's not going to be too much glare, because some of these vintage patterns were really fragile, like this one. This is listed as pajamas. Now, to me, it's not really very pajama-ish, but that's what they call it. That one was really fragile. This one is also very fragile. I have to keep them in the plastic. It's a vintage 1940s house coat. In a couple of lengths and a couple of styles. There's the line drawings on that. Let me see if I tilt this ever so slightly. All right, this next one, it's also fragile, but surprisingly not as fragile as some of the other ones. This one you can see, poor girl, she got her head cut off. Here's the line drawings. So yeah, I've mostly worked on vintage patterns this week. You'll see there's a couple in here that'll pop up. They're not super vintage. They're from like the 60s. I just felt like I had so many patterns that I hadn't dealt with, like this one. Is that beautiful? And this one, I believe, like the wedding gown pieces, it was only partially cut. The wedding gown pieces weren't actually cut, like the train and things like that. They had made the bridesmaid version, so it was shorter and just generally less fancy. There was this. I love this. I love the long version of this. They had cut this in the shorter version, but by the way, these are all Mrs. Landis's patterns. Mrs. Landis was nice enough to save all of the pieces from the skirt after she cut them off. And I'm like, thank you, Mrs. Landis. She's good about that. Of course, she did have the bad habit. Several of her patterns that I had, she left, including this one. She left the straight pins in since 1970, whatever. So, there's some rust on some of these. This is really cute, isn't it? Most of these patterns were partially cut. Some of them were all cut, but a lot of them were partially cut, which is nice because, like I've said before, she does take very good care of her patterns. This one, except for leaving straight pins in them. This one, only the bodice pieces were cut. The stole and the actual dress, the body of the dress, the skirt part, were uncut. So, and the bodice pieces that were cut were in very good shape. I found this one. This was a kind of a modern pattern, a little more modern. And this is another one that I feel like I've already had this pattern and I've already sold it at least once. But I I looked back through my my Etsy store and I couldn't find it. But I really feel like I've seen this pattern before. Or maybe it was just one that was really like similar to it, but it really feels like I've seen this one before. Oh, I love this one. I can't decide if this is more Dawning of Aquarius or the Russian Peasant Revolt. This was also partially cut. Somebody had made the tunic piece. Now, this was supposed to come with transfers for that beautiful embroidery. Unfortunately, they are long gone, which is very sad. By the way, if you're interested in any of these, they're all up online. This one was partially cut also. The dress was cut, but over here, yes, over here is they're napkins and placemats, and they were uncut. So that's good to know that, should you want napkins and placemats to go with your dress, I have the pattern. Now, this was a Learn to Sew for Fun pattern, and I'm wondering if the reason they had you try making placemats and napkins was to learn how to do all the hemming, edging, because you're going to need it for things like this bib. So that's the only thing I could think of. When I was looking at that, I thought that was kind of an odd combo, but I think that's what they must have been doing. Oh, and then there's this. Look at this. Isn't that gorgeous? This one was, if I remember correctly, this one was completely cut, but gorgeous, huh? It's so nice and the fun thing about Mrs. Land is, I guess because she had 10 children, she has pretty much every decade. She's got lots of clothes in every decade, including men's and boys. Remember, we saw that Western wear. I found a couple more men's patterns this week. I actually didn't work on them yet. I took them out, but I didn't work on them. It was very slow going in general to do these. That's why you notice I think I only have about 30 here. I would find patterns and I'd open them up and there'd be something missing. And most of them I put aside, but some of them I did put up online as wounded birds because I just felt like the pattern really could be made by an experienced sewer without the piece. In fact, I have one I'll show you that I did today, and that was the case. It was just missing the neck pieces. And, you could really, you may not even use the neck facings. You might decide to do like a bias binding or something like that. I'll let you know when we get to that pattern. It's a little further back, but, oh, and this next pattern. Okay. This next pattern, I'm going to show you the envelope. The envelope is very fragile. Now, can you see the tape on there? Oh, and look at the bite mark, a Bob bite mark. No urine, though. He didn't pee-pee on it. He just tried to eat it. Can you see all the tape on there? Mrs. Landis had previously taped this. So the tape itself was kind of yellowish, and I think it caused some of this discoloration, but it was all coming off, and it was taking the pieces of the pattern with it. So I generally do not tape patterns, even the envelopes, but I had to tape this one to kind of save it, because it is actually really super cute. These reminded me very much of Grace Kelly, these blouses. Oh, and the nice thing is, again, with Mrs. Landis, a lot of these were larger sizes. And when I mean larger, I mean they weren't size 8. We're talking like, bust 36, bust 38, bust 40. So if you have to grade up, you're not grading all the way up, right? So this was the pattern that I listed as a wounded bird. It is a Loretta Young's Choice pattern. It's just missing, you can see them right here. They're 2 neck facing pieces and they're, front and back. That's it. And, honestly, if you use a bias binding, you may not even need it. But Loretta Young, ladies and gentlemen. That was a 1960s pattern, by the way. There was this one. This was another one that was only partially cut. Those fabulous bell-bottom slacks are still completely uncut in that pattern. This is from 1969. So this pattern is let me see, how old is this pattern? 64 years old. That's good. 64? Yeah, 64. Because I'm 59 and I was born in 1964. So a pattern from 1969, yeah, is 64. I'm telling you, I'm getting close. Oh, this one, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to take out. It's very fragile, but I'll try and just see if I can get it without all the glare on it. Can you see it? It is a beautiful 1940s ladies bathrobe in 2 lengths, and it's just so lovely. There's the line drawings of it, but it's been through the war, as you can see up here. This is just all damage from age. Some of the patterns did have a little insect damage also. There's one in here that's kind of like, oh, actually it's this one. It's really bad. You can really see where the insects gnawed on it, but this one is also partially cut. They had cut the top and they had cut the pants, but they never made that fabulous poncho. So there's the line drawings, and I'll show you. It might be hard to see, but can you see the insect damage? You can see the light through it because they really did a job. They went to town. Sewing patterns must taste good to insects because I get, I find a fair amount of patterns have a little bit of damage from insects, like they've been chewing on the patterns. This is another one I'm not going to be able to take out. It's too fragile. It's a house coat. Isn't that lovely? Look at that. In 3 styles, actually, smock styles. There's the line drawing. Let's see. Let me see if I can just take this out. And then you can, yeah, there we go. That's better. You can see the line drawings. But totally fab, right? Funny thing is, I remember my mother having something like this not very long ago, like in the 90s, very similar, kind of a house coat, like, smocky kind of style. Oh, this poor pattern. I don't know what happened to it. The envelope's in bad shape, but not for the reasons you would think. I don't know if you can see the fold lines on this. Somebody folded up this pattern with all the pieces in it, which is weird. This was only partially cut. They had made this view, which is stunning. They'd never made this view. All of this circle skirt pattern is still in there and uncut. So that was really nice. And it's in very good shape. Even the cut pieces are actually in pretty good shape considering somebody had taken the pattern and like folded it in half and then folded it again. It was like covered in fold marks. That was a new one. I haven't had too many fold marks on the patterns. Then we had this really lovely Jiffy pattern. Super cute, huh? Just a really great, cute early 60s dress. I feel like these had a name, like sack dress or something like that. But obviously they don't call it that. They just call it a ladies dress. And then look at this thing, right? Cute. So cute. Like I said, if you like any of these, if you're interested, they're all up online already. We have this one, just a really nice basic kind of 60s, early 60s, mid 60s sheath dress. Really nice. And again, even the patterns that were completely cut, She really did take very good care of her patterns, except for leaving the pins in. That's the only thing she did that's really, that I could argue with her about. I thought this was maternity, by the way. I think I even listed it under maternity. It's not. It's just a float style dress, but really cute. Very cute. Definitely could be used as maternity. I really did think it was maternity when I listed it. I didn't really read the back until later. Here's the one I showed you guys in the community tab. This envelope's a little fragile. Can you see this design? The design for that, like, kind of, I don't know, that trim is in here. It's a transfer and it's still in there. And the bolero jacket, it was just great. I couldn't believe everything was still in here for this pattern. You know, because I look at this pattern. This pattern, in my opinion, is most likely late 40s. So, does that make it like 80? No. 70 years old? Yeah. I mean, I'm not so good at math, let me tell you. There was this cute little dress. Super cute. My sister had something very similar to this in high school. This one here, actually, I remember. Yeah, super cute dress. Oh, and then these. So many little separates patterns. So cute. The only problem with taking them out of the bags is I can't put them back into the bags. There we go. All right. Oh, and this, I'm so glad I was able to save this one. This is so gorgeous. So it is a suit dress. Well, I mean, it's a suit, but you're wearing as a two-piece dress. Isn't that amazing, right? And it's like a kimono sleeve. And it was in great shape. In fact, I think this one, the kimono jacket had never been cut. So it was in really nice shape. And then last but not least, I love this. This to me is just like, it's like 1960s barbecue. I just love it. So it's the slacks and the blouse. They were both cut. They were both in good shape. They might have had rust spots on them. I think these might have been one of the ones that had rust marks on it. All right, so let's look at what I got at Goodwill last week. Now, last week at Goodwill, I picked up these patterns. I was able to look through the bag a little bit and see what was cut and not cut. Today, the ones I got, I didn't actually look through the bag to see what was cut and uncut. And I'll actually show you the ones that were cut. I didn't do anything with them yet, but I'll show them to you guys. So these are last week's. This was uncut. It's a new look, very early 2000s, late 90s, right? It's very Y2K. Same with this one. I think this one's kind of also a Y2K pattern. Unfortunately, these have some glare on them too because they're the shiny packages. And then this was, I've never heard of Simplicity Summer, but here's Simplicity Summer. It's a pattern with all these separates, the skirts and the tops and all the different styles. This vintage cutie, this was cut, but it's in very good shape and all the pieces were in there. So I thought it was really, really, really nice. And this top, I put this up as a wounded bird. It's kind of a weird thing. It's missing the collar for this, but not this. Like you can do it without the collar and the sleeves and everything else is there. It's just the collar piece. So I listed it as a wounded bird. You know, it's not ideal, but it was the kind of thing that I just really thought was cute. And I also thought, not for nothing, somebody may not even like that large, you know, butterfly collar, and they'll put their own collar on it. So this is one of the ones I got today. This is uncut factory folded. It's basically like new. This one, oh, I was so on the fence about keeping this. This is my size. What a great blouse. Just like a pop over kind of design. Super easy, you know, nothing to it. This pattern, interestingly, I didn't charge as much for it, but I saw someone trying to sell it for $35. It is out of print. It's from 2010. I looked it up. This number is now a skirt pattern. So they retired the number, but I still thought $35 was a bit much for that. And then we had this, just a really basic handbag pattern. And I will grab the other ones. And so these are the ones I have not gone through them yet because they are cut and I just haven't dealt with them. I didn't have time today. It's just, a unisex family pattern for that stuff. Kind of cute. The problem is, unfortunately, these might be worthless, including this, because I needed another doll clothes pattern. Like I needed a freaking hole in my head. Whoops. This one, though, I might actually make for myself because this is the kind of thing that I sleep in. So I might keep this and make it for myself. It does go up to XL. Like most quick sews, it goes from small to XL. This pattern is cut, and unfortunately I have 2 of these uncut online, so there's nothing I can do with this until I actually sell all the other 2, and then maybe I can sell this online. And last but not least, this look, a children's pattern, and it's cut, so it's completely worthless to me. And you can see all of those patterns were $7.99, but of course I didn't spend $7.99 because today was Old Lady Day at Goodwill, and I got them for much cheaper. I think I got the whole bag of patterns for, I want to say it was like $7.65, some strange amount like that. But the good thing is it made the patterns about $2 a piece, which is what I want to pay for the uncut patterns. And then also today, I hid a little secret from you guys. I got another sewing bin. And it's over there. And we're not going to play with it yet. I started to go through it, and I thought I would show it to you tonight. But then when I got into it, it had so much cool stuff in it that I was like, I need to do a whole video just about this. So next Sunday, I might be doing a video about that, and it will be 2 o'clock because I can't deal with this darkness. But in that bin was this. It's from 1967. It's hats, mittens, socks, all that stuff. But look at the poodle. Look at the happy, happy poodle. And the directions are in there for making this coat for the poodle, and it's got a hood. So this is up online. It's crocheting and knitting patterns. I was just so tickled when I found this. I thought it was so funny. So Sunday, 2 p.m., I will be doing an episode, and I will be going into that bin. I did cheat a little bit. I could smell the old elastic in that bin. So I pulled the old elastic out and threw it away, but I retained everything else. And it has some really interesting stuff in it. It's the reason I decided that I would actually do a video about it, because it was just full of weird stuff. Like I found like Christmas ornaments in there. So I was like, you know what? We need to do it needs its own thing. So Sunday, 2 o'clock, we're going to look inside that bin. And then I'm just going to continue to keep doing patterns. I really feel like I need to start the See and Sew patterns because they're in a box in the storage unit. And as big as the storage unit is, I filled it up almost immediately. So the more patterns I get out of their boxes, the more floor room I have in there. But when we got done moving everything, it was packed. I mean, it was just, there was no room on the floor. And then on top of the cabinets, I had put all the boxes with the patterns in them. So I worked really hard yesterday. I unpacked all the Simplicity, all the Butterick, all the Berta, all the advanced patterns yesterday. Today I went there. I didn't have as much time today. Today I only got through the Vogues, some of the McCalls, and some of my mail order patterns, like kind of the one-off patterns, like the Ann Adams and the Marion Martin patterns. I got those done. So slowly but surely it's happening, but it is a big change. So, and as you can see behind me, this is our new wall behind us. So I have my Bluebird tattoo poster, the button collage, the stuff found in patterns that belong to Mrs. Landis, my like, subscribe, comment board. And then I did another board over here. You can see it, this mood board here. This was all kind of weird stuff that I found in patterns. So a Vogue, a Vogue insert, you know, the program from that fashion show that I found and stuffed inside that one pattern, stuff like that. So anyway, thank you for joining me. I'm sorry about the coughing. There's not really anything I can do about it, but yeah. And until Sunday, please like, subscribe, comment. Let me tell me what you think, especially of Socks, the dog over here. And until then, I hope you're doing well. And I hope wherever you are, you're feeling okay, unlike me. And until next week, stay well and careful as you go. Bye.